In this segment, Stephanie Miller and her guests consider the moment that we find ourselves in American history. Basic freedoms, long since assumed as givens, are suddenly under assault.
Gavin Newsom, Governor Pritzker are sounding the code red, that they are trying to steal the 26 elections. They see what's coming. So every living former chair of the Federal Reserve has united against Trump's bid to remove Lisa Cook from her post, warning the Supreme Court that the move would undercut the central bank's independence at a key moment of political and economic strain. So this is in a rare show of anonymity, right? Alan Greenspan, Ben Bernanke, Janet Yellen joined 5 former Treasury secretaries, an array of past White House advisors, urging the court to halt the president's firing of Lisa Cook. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I am not so bullish that this one is going to turn out right. Why? Because of the corrupt right-wing 6 Supreme Court justice majority that seem forever willing to expand the power of a self-declared wannabe dictator. And why the Supreme Court is so enthusiastic about giving our democracy away to an autocrat is beyond me. I cannot comprehend it. But if this one goes all the way up to the Supreme Court, I'm not optimistic that they will, hold the line on Donald Trump's attempt to expand his power.
Yeah. Not to mention, speaking of BS charges and the mortgage stuff, right. Not only has any multitude of people in the Trump administration done the exact same thing as Lisa Cook or Letitia James. I mean, it's just not a crime. First of all, so we should start with that. Can I just say, speaking of things that are a crime, Democrats in Washington are ramping up efforts to investigate Thom Hartmann over allegations he accepted $50,000 in cash from undercover FBI agents last year. They urged Pam Bondi to immediately release documents related to the probe and the video. This is obviously on tape. So I get that with them in charge of all the levers of power, but just talk. I can't believe a top official can accept a bag of cash on tape. And we're just like, oh, well, it's Friday, just Friday, another weekday.
And here's what folks should know. This was a crime in progress. This was the crime of bribery in progress. According to the reporting, Hartmann took a bag of $50,000 in cash and promised some undercover FBI agents who were posing as businessmen that he would corruptly steer government contracts their way if and when Donald Trump got elected. That is the crime of bribery in progress, and it was continuing into the Trump administration. And when Hartmann finally had the opportunity to make good on the quo of the quid pro quo, this for that, here comes the that, they shut it down, right? Why? So they could put a stop to the crime in progress. But here's what everybody should know, Steph. When you attempt to commit a crime, it's still a crime. If I take a shot at somebody attempting to murder them I miss, it's attempted murder. This is attempted bribery. How about the state? How about the state prosecutors get after this? Now, I believe it happened in Texas. So what are the odds?
Yeah.
But again, consequences will come.
This just could not be bleaker. This particular moment, right, Glenn, in our justice system, in terms of prosecuting, political enemies that are guilty of nothing while, exonerating unbelievably corrupt crooks on their side. I mean,
it can't get bleaker on the rule of law front until it gets bleaker, like when we see a series of vindictive indictments handed down. So hold on, we have not hit rock bottom.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Speaking of which, DOJ sues 6 blue states for voter registration lists, California, Michigan, Minnesota, New York, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania. They allege moves not to provide the voter registration rolls violate federal law. Well, we're fighting back out here in California. The DOJ has sued our California Secretary of State for failing to hand over the state voter rolls. So they're obviously suing all of these other states for the same thing. Our Secretary of State has called the lawsuit a fishing expedition and pretext for partisan policy objectives, a blatant overreach, and unprecedented intrusion, unsupported by law or any previous practice or policy of the U.S. Department of Justice. They're trying to intimidate California officials into giving up the private and personal information of 23 million California voters. Gavin Newsom, Governor Pritzker are sounding the code red, that they are trying to steal the 26 elections. They see what's coming.
Yeah, and if there's any good news, DOJ has exactly 0 competent lawyers left to go into court and try to litigate and win these cases. I predict because the federal judges, trial court judges, are holding strong. DOJ can bring all these BS suits, and they're going to lose them all. And I don't want to mix, legal apples and oranges, but just yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, a Trump-appointed judge, Judge Dudek down in Florida, who was confirmed 2 weeks ago. He's a baby judge, a brand new judge, just appointed by Donald Trump. He just ruled against the Trump administration in an immigration and deportation case. Now, I'm sure Trump will say, yeah, he was confirmed 2 weeks ago, but he's a radical left-wing liberal judge.
Sure.
But listen, these federal judges are not going to fall for DOJ's BS lawsuits.
Yeah. Can I just, this last one, Mikey Sherrill, who's running for governor Representative Sherrill is running for governor in New Jersey, said this is an illegal and dangerous weaponization of the federal government, that the Trump administration is breaking the law, exposing private records for political gain as a violation of anyone who has ever served. No veteran's record is safe. They have just...
How about that? And they yell and scream that ICE agents can't take the masks off because they might be doxxed. And then they turn around and they release the private information about Mikey Sherrill, including her Social Security number and address. And, we see what's going on here. It couldn't be more illegal. It couldn't be more dangerous. And something's got to give. I hope it's not our democracy, but something's got to give.
Speaking of the military, Hegseth orders urgent meeting of all U.S. generals. Does that make the hair on your neck stand up?
If I had hair, yes, it would. But I think what's
on your neck.
I don't know. No, nobody knows what's going on here with this ridiculous meeting that Hegseth is calling. You do have secure communication channels there, Pete. Not that you would know because you do everything on Signal or WhatsApp.
Yeah, you don't use them, but yeah.
But here, this to me feels like a meeting to extract a loyalty pledge from all of the military leadership. And if they don't pledge their loyalty to Donald Trump instead of the Constitution, they will probably be booted out of their jobs. That's what this feels like.
Let me read just Steffi's book club, What a Fine American wrote.
All right.
When we fight Trump's lawlessness, we win. It's been proved over and over again. When we fight Trump's lawlessness and unconstitutionality, we win. When colleges and universities fight Trump, they win. When law firms fight Trump, they win. When news outlets and organizations like the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal fight Trump, they win. When Guatemalan children, unaccompanied minors go to court and fight Trump, they win. We need to band together. We need to galvanize. We need to use all of the tools at our disposal to fight Trump's lawlessness and unconstitutionality. And our fight will always be a peaceful one. Glenn Kirschner said that.
You did.